Hello everyone, welcome back to 4FS Gaming, where I will provide a nice visual summary of what we are getting in Hunt Showdown with the next update, 1.6.2. Instead of watching the whole dev stream, I'll go over everything that you need to know without too much opinionated commentary, but there'll be a little bit as usual. Let's start with the new stuff. We are getting the Scottfield Model 3 Revolver, a medium ammo pistol that unlocks at rank 1 for $77 Hunt, and this is a break action, so it has a pretty quick reload when empty. The Scottfield does have marginally lower range and damage than the packs, but this is very minor. However, it does only maintain a muzzle velocity of 280 meters per second, and that is extremely sluggish. This weapon will be able to unlock both FMJ and incendiary ammo. It has 12 in reserve, and I can see this being a great weapon to pair with the Centennial or Carabiner using special ammo for more reserves, and it's always nice to see another medium ammo sidearm in the game. It's single action, so of course it also works with fanning. There are also some new variants. The Carabiner gets a lot of love in this update, starting with a silencer and a marksman variant. These are both really cool, and I look forward to playing with them quite a bit, especially the silencer, simply because it has better penetration than that Winfield silencer, and the sight is so much more improved than all of the other silencers in the game so far. The marksman scope does feel nice on the weapon, but I think it does seem to have a fair bit of sway, which is odd. You'd think it'd handled about the same as the Lebel marksman, but I do feel as if it is a little bit harder to get on target. The Lebel, however, is getting an aperture version. It's a nice addition, but I'm not too fussed about this one. Each update seems to expand the availability of custom ammo across a range of weapons. The Carabiner will gain access to high velocity ammo, and the Terminus gains access to Dragon Breath rounds. The other new items are both consumables, and probably the most controversial elements of the update. The weak and standard regeneration shots will slowly regenerate your health constantly for their duration. The weak shot lasts 5 minutes, and the standard will last 10 minutes. And this health regeneration is continual, so it goes past chunk borders. Even while taking damage, there is no delay before health regen will begin once you've used one of these shots. The exceptions are when you're poisoned, burning, bleeding, or using Necromancer. Now this seems powerful at first, because for 10 minutes, you don't have to look for any other heals, your health just keeps on going up. But you've got to remember that this regeneration is very slow, only 2.5 points per second, which is half of the base rate of healing when you're healing naturally. So using this in PvP is going to take you out of the fight for quite a long time after each hit, if you want to be safe, conserve the other heals that you have, and stay at full health. And this means that I don't think it's very viable at all as a primary healing mechanism in player fights. It's still good, it's still really nice to have that continual health regeneration, but there's so many times where you get hit, you need to heal and get back in the fight to help your teammates or prevent enemies from getting a better position. You don't have time to sit out of line of sight and just heal away for 20-30 seconds. You need to get back in there, and that's why vitality shots and first aid kits, especially with Doctor, are still the best mechanisms to heal in PvP. But having this on as a passive buff could be really nice to have as well, because you can pop this in at the start of a match, go and loot something else like a hive bomb or a frag, and then you can keep healing without using or digging into your other supplies of meds. The only other new pieces of content are 2 new legendary weapons, and these are the runners-up from the last design competition. The Wormwood Mosin Nagant skin will be available for 500 blood bonds, as will the Bird of Prey Terminus hand cannon skin. So with all of that new stuff out of the way, let's talk about balance and sandbox changes. Crossbows have had their range buffed. Overall range remains the same, but they will retain damage better along that curve, so those mid-range hits will be doing more damage. Basic crossbow bolts now apply strong bleeding straight away, and the bolt effectiveness against armors has been increased, and it now carries more reserve ammo for all bolt types. The hunting bow received a reverse treatment, with basic and poison arrows now dealing only medium bleed. Moreover, when you hold that bowstring back for a long time, your sway will slowly begin to increase. Weak stamina shots now have a 300 second duration instead of a 60 second duration, and firebombs and liquid firebombs last for 120 seconds instead of 20 seconds. Hellfires are unchanged. This greatly increases their viability as a blocking and area denial tool, and I might actually take them occasionally now. There has been some tweaks to Dum Dum ammo on the Nitro, bringing it closer to other Dum Dum ammo types. Compact full metal jacket rounds have had their range updated to reflect how they perform, and Dragon's Breath on all shotguns has received a minor damage buff, and therefore a minor range buff. It also now has a very short one-shot kill range depending on the barrel length of the weapon. One of the cooler changes is that if you remove a projectile, like an axe or a bolt or an arrow, from a target that you've hit, it deals significant damage when you pull it out. So sticking it armored with a bolt and then pulling it out will be a good way to speed up killing it when using things like crossbows or throwing knives. The Centennial now has increased reserves, and this addresses its biggest issue. And that brings us to all of the little tiny changes, such as kill assists will now trigger more easily. The window for an enemy to die in order for you to get an assist is much higher if you remain close to that enemy. It even applies if they die to AI or fall in, which is excellent. There are 30 new hunter slots to buy, so you can start spending those blood bonds if you've got everything else maxed out, and some unlock ranks have been shifted around, the packs unlocking at rank 18, and the rival 78 from 18 down to rank 10, and that's probably because of the addition of the Scottfield. The poacher trait is now only 1 upgrade point, bolt thrower has been reduced to 3 upgrade points, and 100 hands will now only give a 10% damage bonus to fully withdrawn bows, but it will decrease the sway. Bolt Seer is now called Blade Seer, but there's no other actual changes. Matchmaking will now only allow you to disable the skill-based toggle once you hit rank 100 for the first time, and once you disable it, it won't even attempt to find fair matches, it's just going to throw you in with the fastest match that it can find of players that have also opted out of skill-based matchmaking. An often overlooked but important change is now there is going to be visual feedback when you hit a hunter with poison, if they have an antidote shot active. So this is a really cool quality of life fix. It's all about readability. You need to know if you've poisoned someone, are they actually poisoned? And now there's a bit of feedback to do with that. To finish off with, we're going to hit some price changes. So here's the screenshot, and I'll read it out for those that are listening and not watching. The Gant Officer is now $96, the Brawler variant is $110, the Weak Stamina is $60, and the Full Stamina is now $100. The Weak Antidote is now $50, and the Strong Antidote is $80. The Centennial was reduced to $157, with the Sniper variant coming down to $229, and the Crossbow is down to $50, with the Hand Crossbow down to only $30. The Hunting Bow has also taken a significant cut, and it's now $57, which reflects some of the nerfs that it's had in this patch. For me, the really big winners of this update are the medium ammo rifles. With price decreases and access to way more ammo, the Centennial is getting a big leg up here. The Carabiner gets its new variants and ammo types, along with a cheap secondary to give it even more backup ammo as well. The crossbows are also going to be in a much better place, especially compared to the bow. They're going to be cheaper, stronger, and they're going to have their trait reduced in cost. The fact that pulling out a bolt can kill AI or even hunters in specific situations also makes it way cooler. Everything else was more or less adjusted in price to reflect where it should be. Bows have had some minor nerfs, and especially the 100 hands trait nerf means that you won't have quite the one-tap range to the chest, and also it's less likely to actually hit the chest because they've cleaned up some hit detection around limbs. So when you're hitting limbs previously, it was sometimes registering as chest hits, and that's not really going to happen anymore, so you have to be a bit more accurate, just like you were with crossbows. There was also a bunch of cheap but powerful things like antidotes, stamina shots, and the Nagant officers, and they were given price hikes to better reflect that power. Overall, this is a pretty inoffensive update that adds some great stuff to the game. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and don't forget, if you're going to complain about any of this or say, oh, this is going to break the game, the healing's too strong, why are they doing that to the officer? You need to get out on the test server and test this stuff out, because that is how Crytek gets their feedback, and we love giving feedback to Crytek because they're always updating the test server build before it hits live based on what people say about the balance of what's on there. So jump on that test server and give it a shot. Thank you very much for watching, thank you to our Patreon supporters as well, and I'll catch you next time. This is Ascendance from 4FS Gaming.